Joe, and then Ian.
Yeah, I support moving forward with this draft for community consultation while acknowledging a couple of concerns about some elements in it. As someone who campaigned in 22 on a commitment to mass rapid transit and rail for Greater Christchurch and Canterbury, I'm quite troubled by the decision to defer these investigations and this work in this pipeline. During the workshops, I raised these concerns, and while I appreciate the financial pressures we face, and we are feeling it out there, there's absolutely no doubt about it. Some of the indicators are quite concerning, and I'm particularly concerned about young people going to Australia because I have friends going, and it really is viewed as the land of opportunity at the moment, which we're not, which is concerning. And a 10% rates increase is still going to hit people in the back pocket, both homeowners and renters. But despite this pressure, I still think that transformative public transport should be a priority. So this will be raised through deliberations. Congestion continues to grow in our city each year that we delay these studies and this work. We're behind where we need to be as a city, as a growing city. And I remain unconvinced that a business case can't be developed for $400,000. And I would actually prefer in some cases that we begin to approach the government with well-developed ideas rather than waiting for them to fund the business cases. But despite these reservations, I do believe this consultation process is essential, and I do appreciate the work that's gone into getting us to this point. So my final point is I just strongly encourage our community to make their voices heard on these transport priorities during this consultation period.
Discussion document, but in fact I have an issue with its brevity and the fact that it doesn't cover many issues. It seems that when we review, we are effectively reviewing the second year of the long-term plan, and the only reviews seem to have been for rate rises that affect, or rate decreases that affect urban areas. And so although the headline number is now just below 10%, that only applies to certain parts of the Canterbury region, and it seems to disproportionately, and the rate rise for the rest of, for the larger areas of Canterbury outside Greater Christchurch is still well over 10%, and I find that unacceptable. The last year's first year of the LTP, the targeted rate rise was across the region was meant to be about 18%, but in fact, in the Selwyn and Ashburton districts, the actual rate rise was in the mid 20%. And I see urban Ashburton is in line now for a rate rise of another 17%. And most of the Selwyn district is in for a rate rise of over 12%. And this seems to be a disproportionate effect. And I am disappointed that we didn't have the opportunity in the discussions around the annual plan to discuss other options of projects and programs that this council is spending money on, options where we could have actually further reduced. And I think it should have happened, and so I'm intending to vote against this.
Thanks, Ian. Peter?
Look, I in some sense support Councillor McKenzie, but I will be supporting the position as described in the paper. I think we've done really well, done really well to get us to this point in time. The tyranny of the final number, means that individual properties do vary. And we've seen that. We've done some analysis, I think, led by Councillor Mackay, that shows what happens there. And I know there's one suburban, might be Wairua actually, in Christchurch, that's over 10% in terms of that thing. So we've just got to be careful when we actually articulate this. And I did say that we need to have ranges because I think that they're important. But there's a consultation document. So it's a big step, but it's not the final step. So yeah, well done. Thank you.
Thank you. Dion? I'll come to everyone else. Yep, Dion.
Kia ora, everybody. Yeah, thanks. I just wanted to really say thank you to the staff and everybody who has put this document together to get to where it is. I just really wanted to say that I will support the document going out to the consultation, because I really do want to hear the views, especially from those people in Selwyn, and also want to hear views from people who are in Christchurch around the reductions in the public transport spend that we will be having, even though it's not necessarily formal consultation. Getting those views to feed into some of these conversations that we need to have around the next element of the public transport futures type of plan will be really useful. But there is one thing that I do really have quite a concern, and it's an ongoing concern around our budgets, is the deficit budget that we have this year. So when it comes to adopting this annual plan, I may have a different view, because I do have a particular view on councils not having deficit budgets. I think we need to be budgeting within the envelope of what the rates that we're getting in. So that's just a pretty hard line that I have. But I just really wanted to also say that in the ward that I represent, we're saying about 9.8% rate increase in that area, 9.9 on average. But to quantify that into dollars, it's about $60 per average household of about $800,000 worth of value. So that's the increase that potentially is, from a quantified point of view, that I think we really need to be focusing on. And I think a couple of speakers already said that the rate there is actually, in part of our region, there's a rate decrease of 0.2%, which is in the Waimate district. That's very different, obviously, to the Ashburton district, the Ashburton urban district, that's facing 17%. So there is very differences, or big differences in the rates. Some are going actual down, but others are going up. So really communicating that is going to be really important, and for our the councillors in those areas, that will be really interesting to sort of see how that gets communicated. And also, if the Selwyn doesn't want buses, there's another 1% potential savings in the overall rates take there. So it'll be really interesting to see what Selwyn wants. They've asked for it, now they've got the realities of the cost, and let's see this moving forward. But I do want to also have a caution, and I'm really pleased that this council isn't doing it, and I think there's a collective, a good piece of work that from councillors and from the staff around, we're not deferring debt payments like some other councils are doing, and on putting that burden onto future rate rises in future years. If you look at our rate rises potential in the next 3 years, they are progressing downwards quite considerably, and I think that's a really good budgeting tool that we've been using there, and quite a lot of discipline in that. Because in the light of what may happen in the future with rates caps, if we don't budget effective now, we may have some real big challenges and some really hard decisions to make. So happy for this to go out to consultation. There's a few elements there that I'm concerned about, and also sort of really looking forward to feedback on. But thank you very much, everybody, for the work that you've done.
Thank you, Dion. Just mindful that it's 1 minute till we have to extend. Just going to get the view of councillors. Should we carry on and just finish this item? Yeah. And then have lunch, and even if that's a bit late. So
yeah, I'll move that we do that.
Cool.
Chair.
I'll see. So Peter, you'll move to extend. You'll second that. Cool. All those in favour, please say aye. Yes. Cool. Against? What lunch? You all that noted? Cool. Okay, let's carry on. So we've got Grant.
Thanks, Chair. Just carrying on a little bit of the sort of theme that Councillor Swiggs has talked about. There was some interest in a response to some queries that I made about general reserves replenishment during our briefing sessions. In reserves, in terms of general rates, that's a rate that is collected from all rateable properties within Canterbury, and they can be rural or urban. And obviously the rates collected for that is dependent on the capital value of each property. It was decided in the long-term plan that we'd replenish the reserves, or that particular general reserves, over the next 10 years, or the 10 years part of the LTP, at an annual rate of about 2.5 million, effectively to try to get us back on track. Because we always have, unfortunately, some issues that arise during a year that are unbudgeted, and that could be things to do with legislation, dealing with consents processes, and addressing cost increases. And I implied at the briefings that given our proposed rate increase was less than the 15.5% planned for this year too of the LTP, that maybe there was an opportunity to use the 4.5% savings gap between the now proposed 9.9% rates and the 15.5%, i.e. to claw back a bit more of that general reserves. However, I'm satisfied that this current proposed 9.9% has allowed for replenishment of 2.2 million, and that's great, but doesn't fully address the commitment. But I think we're not going to be, this isn't being considered in the consultation document, but it's something that we might want to think about later on. And I think closer to deliberations, that issues like further replenishment of reserves and the implications of lower inflation that we now is going down, and the reduced interest rates, which are also going down, and whatever effect that might have on the final rates figures. And it may well be that when we assess all of those at the time of our deliberations, that we can keep the rates low, still keep the levels of service, and maybe do a bit more. But that's a debatable exercise. I'm supportive of the annual plan and of this draft annual plan, and I'm really supportive of the draft consultation document. I think they're both really good, and I love the coloured pictures.
Thanks, Grant. Claire?
Thanks. Craig, can you hear me okay?
Yep. It's a little bit quiet, but
Okay.
we can hear you.
Okay, well, I'll bring my phone up to my face. Bring my phone up a bit better. Is that okay?
Yeah, we can definitely hear you. It's pretty clear. Thank you.
Okay. Look, I just would like to thank staff for the work they've done in bringing us the consultation document and annual plan with a figure of 9.9. Look, let's be honest here, I would like to see it much lower. I do have some sympathy for Councillor Mackenzie's concerns with regard to the opportunity for Council to actually to revisit some of the stuff in year two. However, I think that still could lay on the table, particularly if submitters provide some feedback. So it does give us opportunities to perhaps revisit some stuff there. I'm going to support this going out. I don't very often support consultation documents going out, but and mainly because I think it's important that part of it includes the fees and charges consultation as well. I will note that I'm a little bit disappointed that the opportunity to increase charge out fees hadn't been taken up over the previous 3 years, which we had that policy and that option to do, and that we're now looking to fill quite a substantial gap of user pays revenue there. So I look forward to the feedback that we'll get in the discussions, but I will be supporting this going out as it is today. I would have always loved to have seen a much lower figure though. Thank you.
Thanks, Claire. Nook?
Oh, kia ora. First of all, I'm definitely going to support this, and then understanding that it is a consultation document at this stage. Interesting in an election year that we've been able to keep the rates down under 10%, which is really interesting actually. But so we've pretty much kept it real in some ways, because no one's on the campaign trail yet, but I say that it's a consultation document. We'll see where that actually goes. The other part of it is that, again, there's a lot of interest with this annual plan even before we've signed the consultation document off. It's interesting with Papatupu Runanga. And the reason I say that is because, and we're working really hard with the consultation hui, because it seems that one of the common things around Papatupu Runanga with long-term plans and annual plans, there's more interest on long-term plans as opposed to annual plans. And so it's up to us when we're engaging again to continue to ensure that they've got all the information to realise that annual plans are really important, as opposed, and so are long-term plans, but they have a more of a kind of a long-term view, I suppose, on that. I think the other part of it, we talk about rate rises. It's good to go down to Waimate next week and talk about how their rates are decreasing. And it's going to be interesting with Selwyn actually to see that. I think the other part of it is that I'm looking at the service performances, and I come back to some of the percentage targets here, and noting particularly on number 15, the service measure, and around mahinga kai. So that there is a really important indicator for me, is that we definitely have a really good understanding here at council, around how important mahinga kai is actually to Ngāi Tahu and also the Papatupa Runanga. I think one thing though that I'm cognizant of is that in Te Rōpū Tuia, and this will be reflected in kind of we've had two major Papatupa Runanga leave Te Rōpū Tuia, which is to me, and possibly is it an indicator as to how they're looking at things, around this, and the annual plans, long-term plans are really important in this. So that I think we should watch that with interest, actually, because the idea is not only that the two of them are from my mangai, actually, well, my Papatupa Runanga that I'm kind of representing, but it's actually about the calibre of leadership in those two Papatupa Runanga. And so we're all mindful of, so what are our plans for the next year and what is our long-term plan? So, I'm really looking forward to this actually being signed off, and let's get on with the real business of consultation. Kia ora.
Thanks, Nick. Jan?
Kia ora tātou. Nei anō ngā mihi, kua mihi a ke ki ngā kaimai, Stephanie Ma, mō tēnei tuika hei uiui, me te mahere a tau. Just acknowledging the work's gone into the consultation document and the annual plan, fees and charges. Really looking forward to see what the community come back to us. But just acknowledging that, a lot of the public transport work in here that was planned through the LTP has, changed with this current government. And just what this current government is, their focus, etc., as it, affecting us here at Environment Canterbury and in the Canterbury region. One of the things I really want to hear back from the community on is about the changes we're proposing to the way we charge user pay fees for resource consent applications, and hopefully the community really has a look at the fees and charges in our schedule and really come back. I really would like to hear from the community from that. Other than that, the other one is the Waikirikiri in John's area. We've heard from the mayor and others in Selwyn about public transport in that region. So hopefully the Selwyn community will hear from them as well if they really do want the buses in and around their takiwā. Kia ora.
Thanks, Jan. Nick?
Firstly, I'd just like to congratulate the staff on this document. I appreciate all the hard work that's gone into it. I do have a few concerns. I do support the document going out for public consultation, but I am concerned about a deficit in the budget, and I'm concerned about the rate rise that some areas are facing. And I echo what Ian has said, and these is followed on from a huge rate rise in these areas last year as well, and it just concerns me a little bit. But no, I support the document going out. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick. I think that's everyone who indicated they wish to speak. And I'll come back to John and Greg in a second if you want to speak again. Oh, did you want to speak again? You happy? No, I'm fine. Oh, sorry, John. Sorry. Yeah. Look, I think what I pick up in this annual plan and what we understand is, the big decisions we made last year in the LTP is where we hashed a lot of things out. And the compromises we made and the things we agreed on are really important, and I think it's important that the community knows that those things are still going ahead. Like the rest of our PT work, our river resilience, flood protection work, biodiversity rate in Greater Christchurch and Banks Peninsula. And then what we're looking at here is some of the changes we've had to make to that long-term plan due to the funding that hasn't come through from government, as we knew at the time could be a risk. And that's around that PT work, some of that PT work that we couldn't get funding from central government for. But it's really good. I'm really pleased to see the Selwyn PT consultation questions in there. I think it's about time. That community has asked us, and especially the Selwyn District Council has asked us over numerous years, so it's great to be responding to that and getting those questions out there. And also good to see the additional work on the fees and charges. Or do you want to speak again? Sorry, John.
Just very briefly, and supporting your conversation around the challenges that we face, particularly within PT and government funding, and recognising the impost that we do place upon those communities if we rate them for the services that they require. So just being really aware that the drive for those services does create a cost to those communities, and it's the balance that we need to line. But again, really pleased that we have the opportunity to put those options in front of people and let them consult and make some decisions on them. So yes, thank you.
Kia ora. Let's put this to the vote. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against?
No.
Aye.
Okay, so Dion's an aye. Claire, are you an aye or a no? Sorry, I didn't quite get it.
Yeah, I'm an aye.
You're an aye. Okay, and so Councillor Mackenzie,
I'm an aye.
You want that noted? So just Councillor Mackenzie against there. That's carried. Thank you. And well done again. Thank you to the staff. I know a lot of work over Christmas and in this early. Thank you